All right. Welcome back to Life the Dream. I'm your host, Jeremy, and we're back at it, back in the lab. It's actually daylight out, so that's always a plus when I get to record it during the day. Yeah, normally I work pretty late on Mondays, but decided to take her easy and go out at a usual time this Monday. And I had a couple ideas floating around for good old Life of the Germ this week, and I actually decided to, like 10 minutes ago, go with an idea that I think I've been kind of playing around with a little bit, and honestly, it kind of ties into my life. So maybe I think the lesson will kind of just weave into me talking about my week and honestly the past few weeks. So I think the past couple months I've kind of been experimenting at work with really seeing like what is the maximum amount of time I can work without sort of just burning myself out. And so I tried and worked some late nights and stuff just to see how I felt. And yeah, I feel like the past couple of weeks I've kind of hit that limit, and I've sort of been, just tired. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. And I think, what I was trying to do is like work a lot and then still like squeeze in hanging out with the people I like to hang out with, doing all the fun stuff I like to do. And then, getting exercise on a regular basis. And what I realized is that I kind of hit this point where I'd optimized my schedule so perfectly that I really just didn't have any downtime, like, period. And I think I sort of took that for granted maybe when I was going along before all this, and didn't really think much about like what downtime meant or why it was even really necessary. I'm the kind of guy that like really likes to like I don't believe something until I see it for myself, right? So someone tells me to do something one way, and unless giving an explanation as to why I'm supposed to be doing it that way, I will purposely do it another way. And then if it fails, then I know, oh, that's why that's the way to do it, right? Because then you learn and you understand like why in doing something that's like there in the process. Because otherwise you end up just following blindly all these rules and stuff and I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be aware of why I'm following the rules that I'm following. So I'm not being, I think it's getting back at this, like, I don't want to feel like I'm being like, I feel like taken advantage of or something, like I'm just doing some dumb stuff just to do it. Like, no, I'm going to do it because I want to do it, and there's some sort of reason for doing it. So, I guess this is part of that. Like, I inadvertently tested, like, why is downtime even a thing? Like, I don't need downtime, right? And then slowly but surely the past couple months, I feel like it wasn't just like 1 week and I was like done, right? It was like this slow, like, oh, and then like a couple weeks ago, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like, it felt just very odd, and I didn't feel like myself. I didn't have a lot of motivation, this and that, and I was like, oh, this is because I think I don't have enough time for myself. So I started like doing more of that, and what I sort of realized is that there's different types of downtime, and I think maybe there's a time and a place for these different types, right? So there's like classic like type. We'll just say it. We'll just number them. We'll do Jeremy's types of downtime. Type 1 is like like you just go zombie mode. Like you've worked so hard, your brain is fried, and you just want to like scroll or watch a show where you don't have to think a lot. Just like anything that doesn't require any brain at all. And it's still like gives you that like sort of like dopamine where you're like, oh, this is nice. I just get to chill. I love like watching this and just kind of like winding down from the day. That's type one. Type two, I feel like would be maybe doing some sort of activity with yourself that you enjoy. Whether for me, that's like running, um, maybe like going for a hike, something like along those lines where you're still doing something, but you're actively still allowing your mind to like get some sort of activity. And then type three, which is the type that I wasn't really getting at all, which I think is actually pretty important, is when you're not really doing anything, but just like sitting and like thinking. And this can include just literally what I said, just thinking, like no stimulation at all. Um, or like I will say like walking, I think is also another way for me to get this kind of thing where it's like it's not really exerting my body at all and I'm just kind of letting my mind just run. But the key thing about type 3 is that there's no like stimulate, like you're not being stimulated by like a phone or like another person, like or some sort of exercise, like you're really just there, right? And that's the type 3 alone time was kind of the type that I failed to obtain, I think. Like I exercise a lot by myself, so type 2 was there. Type 1 I'd get just, like I think it's hard to not get type 1. Like you find a way to get type 1 just cuz it's like who doesn't want to watch a show and just like do nothing, at the end of their day, like you're just tired, right? But type 3, it takes a little bit more work, but I think the payoff is the most. And that's the wisdom of the week that I'm really trying to get at. And it's this whole idea that I don't think humans are meant to be going and going as much as we are. And even before phones, people could find ways to, after my job, I'm going to do this. And you can like kind of what I've been doing. Like you line up your schedule so perfectly that like you're always doing something and that like feels really productive and like you're getting a lot of stuff done, but you're not like allowing yourself to just like relax every once in a while. And I think that was a problem even before phones were a thing for like people that really felt like they have to be super productive. But now with phones, it's like, okay, so any time in that schedule where I get 10 free minutes, I'm on my phone, right? And it's like your brain never gets the chance to just like it would be the brain equivalent of like lungs exhaling, right? I don't know what that would be, but like just like let the brain just like relax and just like drift where it wants to drift. And my problem with these other types where you're always stimulating, okay, type 1, which is like vegging out, aka in this generation, just like going on your phone, right? Your mind is not going to be stimulated to have thoughts about yourself, right? It's focused on something. You're invested in some show, your mind is actively thinking about that show, and you're not really getting any productive time to like think about any of your thoughts, right? Type 2 like alone time is like doing it with some sort of activity, right? So it's not like quite as cracked as like going on your phone or something, but you're still like going for a run. And while I do like have a lot of cool thoughts come up on a run, often what happens is I'll exert myself a lot and I'm so then focused on like, oh my God, like when is this run over? Like I got like half a mile left. Okay, let's lock in. Like you're focused on the exercise, right? Type 3 is like you're really telling your brain that like, hey, I'm reserving this 30 minutes or this hour just for you, brain, right? And it's like, we're not, even though it feels there's a strong pull to like pull on my phone, I'm going to leave my phone inside. I'm going to go for a walk in the park, or I'm just going to look and like just look at, I don't know, the trees around me or something like that. And really just letting your mind do whatever it wants to do, unstructured time, like nothing there. Because what I found is like, you don't, unless you work it into your schedule, you don't have a lot of like unstructured time as an adult. And then I think that this experiment kind of like showed me that, was that like, do I need that unstructured time? Like, yes, I do. Because again, it's not like, I don't know. For me, I don't feel it after a week. I don't feel it after 2 weeks, but it's just like this gradual burn where like after like a month of no time to yourself at all, you're just like, it's like this itch you can't scratch, and you're like, what is wrong? Why does this feel so weird? Um, and it's because I just think your mind has so much to process, and when you don't give it that time, it's just like it has so many thoughts that are just like building in your subconscious that eventually just need to like burst, right? And like that comes out in like a variety of ways, right? And it's different for everyone. But yeah, I think coupling this with the fact like this type 3 alone time is just like the best, because I don't know, some of the wisest people I've met in my life had this weird uncanny ability of just going outside, not like saying anything, and just like looking at the sky or the trees, and honestly just being comfortable with existing. And I think in this world of social media where you see everyone chasing all this stuff, and like for me, for a great example, like I went ahead and like I did another 14er with my friend, and like I had a really good time, don't get me wrong, but it's like at the end of it I'm just like, it I don't want to say it's like a requirement for me to feel like I'm living to do this kind of stuff, but it is this partially being in Colorado too, and like feeling like a little bit guilty for taking a weekend to yourself, just because like there's so much fun stuff to do, like in the mountains, in the city, like you name it, there's always something to do, right? And it's like, I think part of me is like, why would I quote unquote waste my time like taking this downtime for myself, right? But what you kind of realize is that what you're telling your brain then is like, when you get a weekend, right? Merely existing on that weekend and not doing like anything crazy, right? Like you just drive to a park, right? But I think with me, like doing all these really big things, what I feel like maybe I've been training my brain is like, oh, if I'm not doing this like really big, like going snowboarding or going for a 14er or something like that, oh, I'm not like living life to the max, right? And it's there's there's something wrong with that, and it's kind of telling, I think it's reinforcing this thing in my brain where it's like, merely like existing is not okay. Like you have to be doing something, or you have to be having some crazy amount of fun, and like I've said, I think on this channel a lot, I think of, I always talk about like the adventure and like finding the adventure and stuff like that, and doing like really fun things. And I think there is something to be said for that, but also finding the adventure of just the really simple plain things, right? And this is what this documentary was that I was telling you guys about a couple weeks ago, and just like really like embracing that, yeah, like you're in your 20s, and yeah, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but like appreciating that you can still exist in this life, not doing a 14er, not being super productive at your job, just like merely just like tonight, for example, like after this, I'm going to go to the grocery store, I'm going to have dinner, and I'm just going to hang out, right? And I'm just like existing. I don't have to be doing anything. And that tells your brain that, oh, okay, it's okay to just simply like exist. Like we don't, for once, like, and this is what I haven't been getting this past month, like I didn't give my brain any unstructured time to just remind it that like, okay, if this 1 hour, I don't want you to do anything, brain. I just want you to like go where you want to go, think about what you want to think about, and just like exist. Like we're not doing anything. And it's just like the best because it just reminds you that it's okay to like not be doing something at all times of the day, you know? And I think I used to feel more guilty about it now. I don't feel as guilty, but I always feel this urge. Like even today, for example, like I'm like, oh, I have these like 3 hours. Let's like get this podcast up. So I'm like posting a podcast coming up here. And then I was like, oh, I can sneak in a Life of the Germ, you know? And it's just like, before you know it, then it's 9 o'clock. And I'm like, oh, like that was my unstructured time. And now like, I'm not going to get that anymore, you know? So it like anything, I think, and that's what's fun about your 20s is that like you can experiment with this stuff and figure out like what works best for you. Like how much of that unstructured time do you need? Like even something as simple as like sleep. Like maybe 1 weeknight, like get 10 hours and then see how you feel at work. Do you feel worse? Do you feel better? And then the next day get like 6 hours and then see how you feel. And then eventually you hone in on this time where it's like, okay, this, 8 hours is I can afford to like slot that time in my schedule and then also feel really good at work the next day, you know? So it's like this fine balance of just like kind of like figuring out what your body can handle, what you're capable of, and like pushing the limits. Like that's what it's all about, I think. And cuz without pushing the limits, then you don't know where your limit is, right? So you have to have an idea of where that is. And then like let's say a year from now or a couple months from now, I need to really push at work. I'll know like, okay, I know if I do that many hours for that many weeks, I know I'm going to burn. But at least I'm like prepared to like burn, right? And it won't come as a blindside where I'm like, whoa, why am I so tired? Why am I so this? It's like, oh no, like you've already tested that. Like, it's not gonna end well for you, But yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted to give the gist of, that it's okay just to exist and just to like really like take in your surroundings, like observe different things and like just observe what's going on around you and not feel like you gotta like be in everything at all times. It's okay just to relax every once in a while. Like there's the thing about life is that like there's always something next on the to-do list, right? But at a certain point, like you gotta put the to-do list down and be like, okay, but I also am not a robot and I need to prioritize myself sometime and just give myself some time to veg out or go for a run, or more, I think most importantly what I'm trying to like get at is just like exist with no stimulation and just like let your mind cruise for a little bit. So wrapping this episode up, I'm actually gonna like put the listeners up for a little challenge here. Just if you're listening to this, probably, vegging out, just hanging out, I will say I feel like this is one of the better types of content you could do for yourself because your mind is actively thinking about it and it's not just like a drama or like some like 1 minute TikTok or where you're just like click, click, click and it's just like endless stimulation, Like, but what I'm going to challenge you guys, maybe sometime in the next couple days, like after you're done working or something, find like, you could even bring your phone, but like lock it in a way where like do not disturb, like you're not gonna go on it. Like you could bring your backpack and then like set a timer, like put your phone in your backpack and like set a timer to go off for like 20 minutes. And then just like, I don't know, find a bench somewhere, like go for a walk somewhere and just let that timer go. And I guarantee after those 20 minutes, like you're gonna be like, whoa, like, because your mind just runs and it's so cool when it does, because then you're like, oh, all that stuff that I haven't been able to process, my brain is just like brrr, like at such a rapid rate because it's just like overwhelmed with all this stuff. It just goes brrr, and then like you're like, whoa, I'm like way better now. So that's what I'd say. Hope you guys are up for the challenge. Let me know what you think in the comments if you did it. Plus, minus, so neutral. But yeah, thanks for tuning into Life of the Germ and catch you in the next one.